Real comedy. It's now time for Let's Just Say. Please welcome your host, Patty May.
Hello. This is on. Yes, it is. Hi, I'm Patty Gould. This is Let's Just Say. Our theme this month is betrayal. Dun, dun, dun. I brought my keys up, and I will explain it to you later. So this storytelling event happens every month at Go. This month we have an amazing lineup. Give it up for everyone about to tell a story. They get 7 minutes, and around the 10 to 7 mark, we usually have a cute little harmonica. I don't have it. I have this whistle. So if you hear this, I'm trying to be quiet because whistles are aggressive. My story this month is, it's not a big betrayal. It was just in the moment it felt like the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. In college, I took a Jewish history course, and the Professor Mirowitz was amazing. He was the best professor I've ever had, but he really liked me too much. And I was a really good student. I was really into it. The course was amazing. I learned so much. But every day after class, he'd be like, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And I'd be like, "What's my grade looking like?" He wasn't talking about him. He had a son that he was trying to hook me up with. And every Monday and Wednesday I had to hear about George, who lived in Boston. He was going to be a doctor. We were going to be a great fit, guys. I'm funny, he's smart. Those were his words. And I was I'm sorry, I have a boyfriend. And he's boyfriends are temporary. Okay, if you want me to date your son, that's weird. He also could be temporary. Well, halfway through the course, we had a field trip planned, which is really fun in college. And he was like, "Oh, do you live near your parents?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, we're going to the Holocaust Museum. It's it was when the one in Farmington had just opened up." He's like, "It's beautiful," or they remodeled it, I don't know. He was like, "It's beautiful, you should invite your mom. A lot of people are bringing their family members," which is weird because it was college, but I believed it because why would this man lie to me? So I was like, "Hey Mom, do you want to go to the Holocaust Museum with me and my college friends?" And she said yeah. And so we went to the museum, and it was an interesting time. Mostly because, it was a beautiful museum. You should really go there. It's awesome. But no one else brought their moms. Because why would you believe that? We're in college. Who brings their, I don't know. So, no one brought their mom. It was just a lie to get Professor Mirowitz to meet my mom so that she could learn all about George in Boston. And it was the most uncomfortable. I think he made up the field trip, honestly. I don't, because there was only 4 other people in my class that were there. I think someone just overheard him telling me about it, and they're like, "Oh, cool." And then they showed up. And so it was just an hour of Professor Mirowitz talking to Kathy, my mom, being like, "It's great. She's funny. He's smart. They're going to be a good-looking couple. What are you doing next weekend? We can go to Boston next weekend." We didn't go. I got a really good grade in the course, though, because I was like, "I'm busy right now, but maybe next weekend I'll go to Boston." Storyteller is a semi-professional karaoke host. That's cool. Please welcome Giovanna.
Hey guys, what's up? Speaking of semi-professional karaoke host, tonight Cabbage Patch Slim, 9 p.m. Thursday except for me. So I think we all are familiar with the concept of like a social contract in an open area where you're with strangers or people you've just met, and the rules that go along with that, how you behave in certain places, like you're quiet in a church, you know, you're kind of loud at a concert, you want to like not bring the crowd down, you're trying to behave in an acceptable manner. So I have a story for you about the time that I went to the movies by myself on a Monday. I got off work, I'm thinking, it's like February, I'm gonna go to the movies, it's fine. 9 p.m. showing at the Imagine Royal. Sounds great, that's close. It's okay, we're gonna be good. So I get to the movies, and it's kind of like that weird February thing where it's kind of warm, so you're like holding your coat, but you wore a really big coat, you know, and you're kind of too warm. So you're scuttling around with your coat, and of course I bought popcorn and soda by myself at the movies on a Monday. Scuttling around, coat, popcorn, soda, bag. Trying to figure out where my seat is, not looking at my ticket. I just sit in like the first one because it's a Monday night at 9 p.m. And this guy comes in, walks in, sits at the one next to me. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. This isn't actually my seat. I'll check my ticket. I'll move to the appropriate seat. And he's like, oh, no worries, totally fine. So I scoot over. My seat's like 2 rows back in the middle. And there's a reasonable amount of people here. You know, you can see like 10, which is kind of a lot in a recliner theater. So I find my seat, I'm good, I'm sitting, I'm hanging out, I'm eating my popcorn. The previews haven't even started yet, it was really early. And this guy comes back and scoots back 2 rows to the middle, sits right next to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is super fun, crazy, you're running out of you. He's like, oh, it wasn't my seat either, this is my seat. Sure. So I leapfrog over, 2 seats down, I'm like, I prefer the aisle. Stick my stuff, my coat, my bag, my popcorn, my soda on the chair next to me. And it's fine, he's kind of making conversation, but like I don't like to talk to people in movie theaters by myself on a Monday when the movie hasn't started, and it's fine. But he's asking like, oh, do you want to see the new Avengers movie? I'm like, no, it's not really my thing, but you know, good. Oh, did you see this movie? Yeah, that was a good movie. Whatever, it's exciting. Yeah, no, it's good popcorn, fresh. So the movie starts, and it's a really good movie. I'm super enjoying it, like a fun watch. Not telling you what it is yet. But this guy, I like kind of keeping my eye on him, just because you know you gotta a little bit. And halfway through the movie, we're good. We've had some emotional times, friendship, troubles, resolutions. And I look over at this guy, and he's like still acting kind of weird. And I pay a little bit closer attention, and this dude is jacking it in the Imagine Royal Oak Monday night, 9 p.m. showing of Love, Simon. So I went out to have a really nice time and watch Jennifer Garner be a really lovely mom. I'd love to have Jennifer Garner be my mom. And I had to go say to the guy at the concession counter, hey, some guy's masturbating in theater 6. Could you pull the cameras, please? Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Our next storyteller is Diana Grant. She is a 19-year-old comedian and engineering student, and she will be in Comedy Rumble, upcoming soon. Next week. I talk nice. Diana Grant.
I want to take a quick picture. Just to commemorate the moment. I feel like you really are going to bond for this. Alright, thank you. Okay, hi, so I'm Diana, I'm 19, and some of you can probably tell just by looking at me. But, so if you know, just feel free to say it with me. I was bullied in high school. Yeah, it was mainly by this one group of guys. They were a year older than me, and you know, they got together and they were just like, this is what we're gonna do! No, it's fine. They were best friends since elementary school, you know, and since the theme is betrayal, this is a story. It's not about me, because you can't be betrayed by a group of people you never trusted in the first place. But it's going to follow their friendship dynamic, okay? So they're high school boys, all white boys, so they get together every weekend, you know, hang out, play Call of Duty, say the N-word, I don't know, euchre? I'm not really sure. I was not invited. No, so on one of these These Fateful Nights. I'm gonna follow two people in particular, Trey and Bryce. Now these are fake names, but you believed me, right? So this is at Trey's house. You know, the gang is all together. They're saying the N-word, they're playing games, you know, how you do with your friends. And Bryce is roughhousing Trey's dog. Like, we're getting really, really riled up, just like, whoo! And Trey's like, hey man, like, knock it off. And Bryce is like, nah, I don't know. He's really going at it. So long story short, the dog bites him in the crotch. Now, I've heard this story told to me 3 different ways. 1, that it bit his dick. 2, that it bit his dog, or balls. And then 3, that it bit his inner thigh. Now, I prefer the part of the story where he gets his dick bit, so that's the way I'm going to tell it. And also, Bryce is the name of my ex, and that's why I picked it, because it's fun to tell the story this way. So, Bryce gets his dick bit off. And, yeah, so Trey, this is, his best friend since elementary school. Trey's, like, freaking out, his parents are home, so his parents are like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. They rush him to the hospital, it's right down the road. They're like, don't, like, we'll pay for everything, we're so sorry. Like, this is so out of character for a dog, we can't believe this happened, kind of thing. And so, he's healed up, he's completely fine, unfortunately, no impairment to his fertility. But, okay, just a quick survey, if anybody wants to shout it out. At this point, this is your best friend, you riled the dog up, the dog bit you, they paid for everything, you're fine. What would be your next step? Like, embarrassment, apology, anything? Anyone? See, my thing, I would be incredibly embarrassed. I'd be like, oh, I can't believe I put you through this, like, I'm so sorry, like, I shouldn't have done that. And I would have felt so bad. I don't even know if I would have let them pay for my medical bills. But let's remember who we're talking about. This is Bryce, and despite the injury to he's still a huge dick. Bryce takes it up a notch. Bryce decides to sue his best friend of like 10 years, right? Because why not? He sues and he wins like something crazy like $150,000. Yeah, like not enough to like live off for the rest of your life, but that's pretty good money. Oh, and I forgot, to top it off, he had their dog put down. Oh! Yeah, thank you. Piece of shit, sorry. So he has the dog put down, and it's like, because it's your best friend, who wouldn't do that? And he doesn't stop there, unfortunately. Bryce decides to drop out of college, to which he had a full ride, to become a YouTuber. Travel, be a YouTuber. Now, I just want to know, like, best case scenario, what is going through Bryce's head? Like, let's say everything goes great. He's this great YouTube personality, he becomes famous, he gets rich off of it. Eventually his fans are going to ask, like, hey, like, how'd you get your start? What's your secret? How'd you get your seed money? And I can just see it now. He's going to release a video and it's going to say, my best friend's dog bit my dick off. Not clickbait. Thank you.
Our next storyteller is a dog lover. He would never do that. This isn't Bryce. This is Kyle Butella.
So my story of betrayal is on 2 fronts. The first thing is I was betrayed by something that's supposed to be fun, have a good time, and up until this point, it has, and that was marijuana. And the other thing that betrayed me was supposed to protect me and keep me safe, and that was myself. And so it was either a year or 2 ago at Friendsgiving. So it was just me and my friends get together, and instead of just getting really fucked up on a weekend, we got really fucked up on a weekend and ate food we made ourselves. So we end up getting over there, and then, all of us who do smoke, we go down to the basement, because that's where weed lives, and then we smoke, and then don't know what it was. Maybe it was, I took 1 or 5 too many hit some bong, or maybe I just didn't eat anything in preparation from eating all this good food, or it was something that maybe it was just a bit too strong for me. But I was really feeling it by the time we went upstairs and to get food, and up until this point, I've been smoking for maybe 1.5 years, and of course, like any 13-year-old who smoked weed before, I thought I was the master of everything. I was the master of my own temple. I was like, I got this, rub things down. So we go upstairs, and I'm really feeling it, but it's still fine. I'm like, everything's fine, I got this. You know, we all get in line, we're getting our foods. I got this. Sit down. I got this. And then I just knew it went overboard because someone looked over at me when all the crosstalk started happening at the table. Someone looked over at me, said something. I had no clue what they said, but I just gave them the and so I was not okay. I just went off the deep end. Like I was very aware that I was very aware of myself. It was pretty much just like the limbo you fall into in Inception, where like a minute goes by in real time, but I've lived for 100 years in my own head. And so the logical thing to do was just tell all my friends, and these are people I've known for like more than 10 years, who just like have my back and everything, just say, hey guys, it's a bit too much for me, I need to go lay down. Instead, I came up with a plan. A very, very smart plan. So, very mechanically, very methodically, I stood up, and I walked to the upstairs bathroom, where I was going to pretend to use the bathroom for 5-10 minutes tops until this thing comes down to a level I can manage, and everything's going to be okay. At minute 15, I was still hugging the toilet. Because it felt like my brain was going to just fall out of my mouth. And as I'm just staring into this porcelain mall, my friends' like disconnected, muffled voices are coming up out of it. And like when you're sober, your friend's voices coming out of a toilet is scary enough. But when you're high, it's fucking terrifying. And just because below me was the kitchen table, so I can hear everything everyone's saying while I'm just up in this dark bathroom, because any more sensory input would have sent me over the edge, and I would have thrown up. Like 25 minutes later, I'm sitting on the toilet because it feels like the brain's gonna come out the back end. And about 30 minutes in, I'm just kneeling in front of the bathroom sink, pathetically ladling water into my mouth, and thinking, why are there no cups in this fucking bathroom? And then that's when I hear it. Hey, where's Kyle? No! And like, I do not know what to do at this point. I am just freaking out. And I hear the steps just, oh no, oh no, oh no. And then, Kyle? And luckily it's the one person who I wanted it to be, my friend Crystal, who I could just tell anything, confide anything into. So I open up the door from on my knees in the sink, in front of the sink, and I just pathetically look up at her. And it's just, are you okay? It's like, Crystal, I am just way too high right now. Oh no! Well, when you gotta come down? I don't know. And then she goes and gets me my phone, because I didn't have it with me, so I had like a connection to reality. And she says, well, why don't you just, try doing some push-ups or run in place to wear it off? And in my head, I'm like, even in like my brain that's just been like just bubbling in a stew of THC, thinks, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So 25 push-ups later, I'm finally like getting the nerve to stand up. Finally stand up, and this is like 45 minutes after I've gone to this bathroom. Everyone's already done eating. They're already just like playing games in the living room. I open the door, and then I close the door and I'm right back in the sink because I was not ready for that. And then it was an hour and 35 minutes of just opening the door, taking a step out, I can't do this, back in the bathroom, opening the door, just take a few test steps down the hall, still can't do that, back in the bathroom, practice what I'm going to say to everybody when I get downstairs. Boy, that was stupid, that doesn't sound right. Boy, no, that doesn't sound good. And I finally am able to come down, and through my text conversations with Crystal, like, she at one point said, when are you coming down? I don't know. And then she says, one of the most motivational thing I've ever heard, hurry up. Which was something I was capable of doing at the time. And so, but it was nice just having a landline and someone who believed me. Because in our conversation back and forth, I was scared all my friends were going to judge me and think like, oh wow, you suck, friendship over, you got way too high at Friendsgiving. And she's like, no, I don't want my friends to think that. And so Crystal said, do you want me to go make them feel bad? Which bless her part, that her first reaction was to make everyone else feel like shit because I was too high. And then I finally get the nerve, and like I said, an hour and 40 or something, 35 minutes later, I eventually go downstairs and I say my practice rehearse line, boy, that was stupid, and enjoy the rest of the night. I come to find out that she went downstairs and told them all it was the cookies that I made me feel sick, and since I already had them, she threw them all out, and they believed her. I eventually ended up telling them what actually happened a while ago, and of course, they didn't hate me, didn't end my friendship, because my own bullshit made me think, my friends are gonna hate me because I did drugs way too much. And they knew I've been doing it for a while. And I guess the real moral is, it's nice to have someone who can just kind of help you through your own bullshit, because that's gonna betray you the most in life. Thank you very much.
We have a new one. Yay, thanks, Pete. Our next storyteller is co-owner of Hearsay Studios, a podcasting studio here in Ferndale. They're great, check them out, especially Spooky, Sexy, Scary.
I managed to plug my own podcast. Please give it up for J.R. Sternberg.
Betrayal of betrayal. So I dropped out of high school. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Whoever's cheered that was the right thing to do. Everybody should drop out of high school. All the time. Even if you're not in it, drop out of it. So I dropped out of high school, I didn't know what to do. I had to find a job, and there's a local bakery, and I went to the bakery, and I saw this short little fat man standing there, and I asked him if I could have a job, and he looked at me and said, and I think that meant yes, because I worked there for about 3 months after. I would get up at 4 a.m. and he'd give me these small tasks getting ready for like breakfast and stuff, just basically putting stuff in the oven, taking it out, very simple things. And I really liked working there. It was weird. He would listen to like Alex Jones in the morning. So like my entire morning was filled with these delicious bready substances and also somebody screaming about reptilians in the White House. He had a Shania Twain poster in the bathroom right above the toilet, which I don't know, art. But it was a really great place to work, and then I really started feeling like, wow, I could do this. I could be a baker. I could do that. Look, he's doing it, and he thinks Alex Jones is cool. So, I'm working there for a while, and one day I can tell that my boss is really under a lot of stress, and he's like sweating a lot, and I didn't know what was going on, and he's like mumbling something to me. I don't really understand it, and I finally figure out that he's got to deliver this wedding cake. I'm like, oh, I'll do it. I've never done it before, but I'll do it. And he's like, do you have a driver's license? And I said, no. He's like, don't get caught. And before I left, he's like, the number one thing to do is to stay on the road, be careful, don't go through any potholes and like knock over the cake. And then as I was leaving, he was like, oh, one more thing, you have to look like a professional. He threw me whatever it is you use to cover yourself. I can't think of the word right now for some reason. Yeah, like a shucks jacket thing. And so I did it, and I delivered it, and it was all happy and everything was great. And the next morning, I got up for work again, and he was like really proud of me. He's like, well, I want you to do something for me today that you've not done before. And he handed me some tomatoes, and he wants me to cut the tomatoes on a meat slicer Like it's one of the automated ones that you see in the supermarkets. Go, and I'm thinking, well, this is a weird way to cut tomatoes, but cool, dude. And I start doing it, and I immediately cut my thumb wide open on the meat slicer, and blood is pouring out of my hand, and I can literally start seeing it go. And I did not know what to do, and I'm freaking out because I'm a 16-year-old kid in a bakery with this weird Alex Jones dude with my hand bleeding. And I just immediately shove it in the sink, and I start like grabbing a towel, and he mumbles something to me, and I figure out, oh, he means he wants me to go with him, and he takes me to the hospital, drops me off at the emergency room, and then leaves. And I'm like, cool, this is fine, cool. I'm at the hospital, cool, yeah, all right. Eventually things get wrapped up. My dad comes and like I got stitches and stuff, and I was fine. And I came back the next day just to figure out when the next time I could work was. And he's like, who are you? Like completely ignored my identity and that I had ever met him after working for him for 3 months. And cut myself at his equipment. Just said, who are you? I'm like, cool, this is why you listen to Alex Jones. I get it now. Alright. That's it. That's all, guys.
Our next storyteller is a stand-up comedian and just overall babe, Haley Zurich.
Everybody. I have to be honest, I feel a little betrayed that I invited everybody to move up and no one sat behind. I put several layers of Old Spice on today to try to make a friend. So, thanks, kids. So this is my story of betrayal and karma, and it's a good one. Does everyone feel like you like me? Clap if you feel like you like me. So I was the least popular human being from 2nd grade until about my sophomore year of high school. And it was very bad for me, and I'm not going to talk about it any more than that. But in middle school, I had my very first public friend. And my public friend. I had lots of people who would volunteer to like partner with me. And be like, I'll be with Haley. And then we get together and they'd be like, you're really good at drawing, so you do this and I'll get the A. And I was like, cool. Because that's how abuse works. You say yes to things that you shouldn't. Because it feels good for you. That becomes relevant again later. And I had my very first public friend. Her name was Jacqueline DeBosch. And I'm only saying her full name just so if any of you are like, oh my god, I know her, I need to talk to you after the show. Jacqueline DeBosch was amazing. She had this, her hair is the single most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It looked like a cloud, and it was big and black, curly, and she had this gorgeous olive skin, and she also had a mustache and tended to dress like a boy, so she was 2 people ahead of me in unpopularity. There was one kid that smelled like they might be a school shooter, and that was the one person above me, and then it was Jacqueline. It's all important, that's why I'm telling you these things. So it's the first day of middle school, and I'm thinking something's gonna go my way, and immediately everyone pretends, just like this front row, that there's no seats available for them. For me to join them. And the only seat I can find is over in the corner by the stage that was also in our cafeteria, and it's like right fucking there, but it's against the wall. And Jacqueline DeBosch was sitting there, and I said, hey, can I sit here? And she said, yes. And from 6th grade through 7th grade, through half of 8th grade, every single day, we sat and had lunch together. I told her stories about my experience in life. She pretended to have a crush on Carson Daly, and it was awesome. And she was the person where if I was going to be sick, I would call her and let her know that I wasn't going to be there so she could just eat in the guidance counselor's office. So we would be okay. And I wrecked it. This is the part where I really don't want to tell you the truth, but it is the truth of who I am. Halfway through 8th grade, this is going to sound hilarious, but stay with me. Remember, there's a karma part. Everyone remember the karma part? Clap.
Yeah.
Hold on to that for the next 2 minutes. Halfway through 8th grade, there were some girls in the clarinet section who thought it was okay to publicly be friends with me. And I was fucking hyped. Because I had been last year in clarinet, and I had a second row clarinet turning around to talk to me, and not just to set me up for bullying later. It was very exciting. Relax, there's a bad part coming. And they invited me to their table in the light. No longer would I sit in the corner by the stage. I could sit with the good people, the cool people, the people who didn't get pushed into things or other bad stuff that I agreed that I wasn't going to talk about, sorry. And I said yes. Not only did I say yes, but when Jacqueline came to the table I was sitting at and said, hey, are you going to come sit with me? I looked at her and I said, no. To her face. Remember at the beginning, you all liked me. But stay with me. Because what do we remember? Clap for karma. Several weeks went by and it was 8th grade in the Midwest, so we were going to take that bus trip to DC. So guess who I roomed with? Kathy, I think her name was Danielle, and then there was this girl named Stacy who kind of got added into the group because she didn't fit in with the other band kids quite as nicely. I think it was because she was tall. But we were going to be in a room together. And I had a feeling, you know, like when you go on a trip with a new partner and you're like 2 minutes into the car ride and you're like, oh, this is going to end in a breakup. This is ending in a breakup. That's what the feeling I got like 20 minutes into the second movie on the bus ride there. We get to the hotels in DC and there was this miserable moment where we walk in and we have our bags and we step into the room and apparently their 8th grade minds had not put together that there were only 2 queen-size beds, which meant that someone was going to have to share a bed with me. Clap for karma. No, like for real, clap for karma. So here's what happened. Stacy, the one that wasn't even cool enough for the other kids, took the 2 chairs that were in our room and put them together and gave me an extra pillow. And that is where I slept for the 5 days we were in DC. And then, when we got back from DC, guess who wasn't allowed to sit at the table anymore? And now, the beautiful gift I'd given to Jacqueline of having liberty to sit at a whole new table, that bitch started hanging out with the druggies and the skateboarders, so she wasn't even in the cafeteria anymore. She was cool smoking weed and doing, I don't know, kick flips. And I had to sit by myself. So, everyone else told a story where they got to be the hero. Okay, backtrack. I'm not going to betray my friends. It's easy to come up here and tell stories where you're the hero and you're the good guy and you're the one that got put down. And let's be fair, I definitely had my shit. But I had an opportunity to step up and be who I know I actually am. But the person I really betrayed in this story really wasn't Jackie. it was me. I betrayed my own integrity, I betrayed my own humanity, and I betrayed who I really know I am as a person. I have tried to find Jackie every year since I left that school. I found an address once, and I wrote 4 letters, and I said, you never ever have to respond to me, but I owe you this apology. And I'd never heard back from her. And so when I was invited to this, when I heard it was betrayal, I was like, this is fucking sweet. Because I so rarely get to tell the worst story I know about myself, because it's so much easier to tell the best story I know about myself. And if I say it out loud, maybe some small ripple of my apology will send itself out into the universe and let Jackie know we probably wouldn't be friends today. Not because she's not a good person or I'm not a good person, just we've been apart for a really fucking long time. And P.S., I was a giant fucking dick. But at the very least, I know and I see what I did wrong, and I've tried every day to make penance for it. Also, in retrospect, it really never would have worked out between you and Carson, because our periods synced in 7th grade, because that's when you started your cycle, and he was, I think, 23 at the time. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
I'm not sitting down, keep clapping.
Carson Daly is a hunk, though, right? Up next, we have Jean Perry. She is a newly graduated improv student and part of the terrific troupe Cougar Den.
Oh my god.
Sweet betrayal. That's super brave, by the way, because I could have told lots of stories about how terrible I was. I chose one where I was betrayed. So, my father is a hunter, and he belongs to a hunt club in Ontario, Canada, called Deep Bay. And so the perks of belonging to this is that every year we had a family vacation at Deep Bay. We had like a standing week in like late July, early August. And so what we would do every year is pack up the car with 10 days worth of provisions and drive 7 hours north, 10 hours if we took bathroom breaks and all the other fun stuff. And then when we got there, we would park and load up boats with our goods and ride in the boat for about a half hour, 40 minutes, to the place that we stayed for 10 days because it didn't have any road access. So this place sounds, I know, insane, but it was beautiful, untouched wilderness, and it was, have you ever been in a professional development or a thing, or even a meditation, and someone says, picture your happy place. This place was my happy place. Gorgeous, beautiful, untouched. I went there every year in my childhood. And we would never just go as our family. I'm the youngest of 3. We would go with like multiples of my dad's family friends. So we were there with anywhere between 12 and like 30 people. And it was so much fun, and it was beautiful and wonderful, and a place of like joy and love. So we would get there, we'd unload the boats, and I was a child, and so I would just be feral and catch frogs and jump in the water and whatever. I'd get bit by flies, like bugs, and it was insane. So this was this wonderful place, and once a week while we were there, we would load up a picnic lunch and get in the boats and ride off to this like other side of the river that had this stretch of like sandy beach. And that's the time my mom would like put out folding chairs and a packing mat and pick crackers and cheese for some reason. That was like the snack of choice on the beach. And like my brothers and sisters would go out on the ski boat with their dad's friend. And I would play with my dad's, Mr. Snyder and his family would come, and Jimmy Snyder was their youngest son, and he was about 2 years younger than me. So this is summer of, had to be 86, because I was 8 years old, he was 6 years old. We were at the beach,
and swimming and snorkeling and having a good time. We started finding clams. And we started pestering our mothers and walking out. Every time we find one of these damn things, we walk out, Mom, I found it! And finally they were like, you know what? Here's a bucket. Go start collecting these suckers, and if you get enough of them, we'll make clam chowder when we get back to camp. And I have a mission now. And so does Jimmy. So we are just snorkeling the shit out of this beach. Finding clams, and we were filling buckets. We have snacks, and then finally it's time for the beach day to be over, and we get our bucket, just like buckets, pound buckets, these things, put them in the boat back to camp, and with so much pride, we walk to the back porch and set them there, because that's the door to the kitchen. And our moms and dads are like, you know what, you two, go play, and we're gonna make clam chowder, and we'll call you when it's done. So I'm 8. I have no sense of time. We go start playing and fishing and running around like little crazy people. And they had a dinner bell there. So it could have been 30 minutes, and it could have been 3 hours. I have no idea. Dinner bell rings, Jimmy and I run in, and we sit down at this long dining table. That is, Deep Bay is basically 2 big row houses. One is a huge bunk room, where it's bunk beds and all kinds of stuff, because it's hunters. They go up there and they all sleep in the same room. And the other room is a kitchen, a giant dining room that's literally made of, like, the tables are all just logs they cut down in the woods. And then a dining room and then a living room. So we come in, Jimmy and I run in, and there's deer heads all over the walls, and we're just like, we have such a sense of pride. And they set bowls in front of us of Manhattan clam chowder, which is like tomato, or it's like vegetable soup with clams in it, right? Not to be confused with New England clam chowder, which is like green. So these are lessons I learned at 8 while I was on vacation. So we eat it, and this soup tastes like accomplishment and love, right? We did this together, and it was a family affair, and that's how it goes, right? It was so good, and this is a memory that I have thought of so many times in life. So let's fast forward 30 years. I am in the kitchen with my mother and father, and we're sitting at the table laughing at my dad because he's eating a can of Campbell's creamy clam chowder and complaining about how bad it tastes because it's Campbell's canned creamy clam chowder, and who eats that? Why do they even make it? And he's complaining about it because it tastes bad, but he won't stop eating it because he's 70 and he's not going to waste food. So we're laughing at him, and then all of a sudden my mom starts giggling and looks at me and goes, "Remember that time when we fooled you into thinking we made clam chowder at Deep Bay?" No, I don't remember the time you fooled me, because for 30 years, I knew that I collected clams and made clam chowder. I knew it. And so in that moment, I was no longer 38-year-old Jean sitting there laughing with her parents. I was 8-year-old Jean on the beach in my black and white striped sequined bathing suit with like an asymmetrical neck, holding a purple bucket full of Canadian freshwater mussels. Feeling like I got punched in the gut. Because I like my parents. I love my parents. And they lied to me. And so then I was like, now Zoom, I'm 38-year-old Jean going, who are you people and where are my parents? And so it was this moment of like realizing that time is not linear, and so like I realized my betrayal at 38, and my 8-year-old self felt it. And I was so sad, and then I like had to come out of it and be like an adult and be like, of course I knew that. Whatever. And so I tried, and my mom felt really bad God, Sylvia felt so bad for like destroying that for me. But like realistically speaking, like I was probably more betrayed by my own memory of things. And I also told myself I was not gonna ever like go back and rethink those childhood memories, because those childhood memories are like warm and like wonderful. And it didn't ruin debate for me, it now gave me this story to tell. But it's still, I look at my mom sideways a lot. And I'm also a mom myself, so like I lie to my kids, I do, I make magic all the time. And so that story used to be magic. And it's no longer magic because I know that I saw behind the curtain, but now it's although I felt betrayed, because my 8-year-old baby self felt betrayed, it's like, it's still love. So thank you very much for listening.
Our next storyteller and last, unfortunately, is Mike Boone.
How's it going, guys? This has been so good. Keep it going for everybody that listens. So I date both men and women, and people. I do all of it. It's great. People tell me all the time. They're like, so like, what are the similarities that you? Or they're like, oh my gosh, they're so different. Guys must be so horny and whatever. And I'm like, no. There's not that many differences. There's way more similarities than there are differences. Like, everyone's looking for love, it's always awkward to get out there and that sort of thing. No one cares for my personality or my body, so that is great. You guys ever have a one-night stand? I always feel like I'm in trouble, like I'm always worried that like somehow I'm gonna butt dial my mom. She's gonna listen to the whole thing, like all my depraved acts and be like, this is how many Hail Marys that you have to say now. And I'm like, no, don't correlate that. Don't do that. So I had my first Tinder date the day before Valentine's Day, and I was super excited to go. Because I was on Tinder for years and nobody cared for it. And so finally I get this one Tinder date and I'm ready to go. And like, I prepared for it. I was like sick the week before, so I like got myself right or whatever. I dressed up, I trimmed my pubes, not like high type, but like fun and flirty. And so I'm ready to go. We're gonna get dinner and go to a bar. Okay, cool. So we get to the bar and there's no food that day for whatever reason. So I have like one beer like a responsible adult, and my date drinks about like 2 or 3. And I think that everything's cool or whatever. And then she goes, oh, you wanna come back to my house? My roommates are making tacos and watching movies, and they're getting super fun, and we'll braid each other's hair. I was like, dude, let's all do it. So me and her started to drive back to her house, and I didn't realize how drunk that she was. She did this thing where like she saw the stop sign, but then like stopped like way in the middle of the intersection. So I was like, oh no, this is not gonna be great. So I was like, we'll just eat tacos. And so we get back to her house, she immediately eats a ton of tacos, she's having fun, we're all having fun, she sobers up and I get blasted. I drank so much, and I was so embarrassed that I didn't eat any tacos and I'm just wasted now. I had like 4 beers and I'm lightweight and it was just awful. And so like, whatever, we started like getting hot and heavy, doing kind of all the things that quote unquote Tinder's for. And like at that point, like people were talking about choking all the time. Like that was like, the big thing in life was like talking about choking, but I don't do any of that. I'm like, she's like, well, I don't know, talk dirty to me. And I was like, I don't know, what do you want me to say? She's like, tell me that you're gonna pound my pussy. And I was like, I'm gonna pound your pussy. But that's a weird thing to say too, because I've held other man's hard erect penises in my hand. And they're so fragile. Like, you're not gonna lay out that veal cutlet with your pillar of gelatin adorned with a Fabergé egg. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not pounding anything with that. So she lived in this giant mansion in Boston Edison, and she lived at the very top attic. So we finally like go up to her room. It's the middle of February. Valentine's Day is the next day. We go up, and it is freezing up there. For whatever reason, she has like 4 cats in the room, and the cats like keep like jumping on the bed with us to like hang out. And at one point, like one's just licking my foot while we were looking out. I'm like, what the hell is going on? She's like, do you have a condom? And I was like, no. Now, it's not because I don't believe in safe sex. I do, but like you can't keep condoms on your wall; they go bad. You can't like. If you keep them in your pocket, you might accidentally pull it out. Like, there's only like a 1 minute time frame where like a condom's okay to pull out. Like, if you pull it out during dinner, they're like, what the fuck? And if you accidentally pull it out after sex, they're like, what the fuck? So yeah, so I didn't have a condom, but then she pulls out a Magnum condom, and I was like, I'm not tall enough to ride this ride. And she didn't laugh, like nothing. It was silent. So obviously I had erection issues for the first time. You know when you're bombing on stage? Nothing but flaccid. Now I'm a research scientist and an adult man. So I know that if you put a condom on, you gotta throw it away. But we only had one, so every time I lost my erection and got it back, I would keep trying to put it back on. So like resting on the nightstand, I'm like, nope, we're good, okay, let's try it again. And I broke all the elastic properties of that condom. It was not great. We finally end up like getting to like the magic money shot of, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk about sex today, I'm sorry. So we finally get to all of that and I like pull out, everything's good. And the condom is just gone. It's just disappeared. No one can find it. So like a person that takes on responsibilities, I don't sleep at all. Tell her, oh, I'm sorry, I have a busy day tomorrow. I got to leave at like 7:30. I'm just like, okay, I gotta go. And also, like, women have the best, like, night clothes, like, or like after, she's like in a kimono and like beautiful lingerie and stuff. And I'm just like putting on my dirty jeans, trying to get out of there. So I immediately leave. Like I said, the next day was Valentine's Day, so I had plans to watch Cool Intentions and order Chinese food with my bro friends. Cool Intentions is like, I love that movie. But in the 7th grade, my brother found out that was like my porn. Like I couldn't watch that movie for more than 5 minutes without like masturbating. My self-love story. So now I gotta sit and think all day while I'm watching Cool Intentions with my bro friends about how my body just betrayed me. But for the first time, like I had like boner betrayal. Like I was like sitting there the whole time and I'm like, oh, I can't believe that happened. Like I'm so embarrassed about what happened. And even like during that night, I was like, oh, this is the first time that this has ever happened to me. And she was like, I'm sure everybody says that. But I was like, no, but for real, this is like the first time. Like this has never happened. And like I sit there, I'm like, okay, what if it's broken? Everything's broken. And then I'm like, oh, I probably got her pregnant too, because that's where my brain went. So I'm like texting her with my bro friends. I'm like, oh, heads up, if you need Plan B, I can buy it for you. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, we can just do it. And then she's like, no, my body, I don't need anything. I'm good. And then I'm like still freaking out because I can't let my brain rest at all. My friends are like, just like leave it on our doorstep, ring the doorbell, and leave. I'm not gonna ding dong ditch this baby. So we end up planning that like second date, you know, the one where you're like, we're just gonna talk about being friends or whatever. You know, like that one where you're like, it was fun and you're nice enough, but like, we should see each other. I get that you're not a fuckboy, like, but we're probably never gonna talk again because that was really, really weird. And I was thinking of all the things I'm like, I'm gonna apologize, not for the condom thing, but apologize for the fact that I'm crazy and that I keep texting her about Plan B. And as I'm driving to that date, I slow roll into a car. And the other car outwalks basically my parents. Like, not my actual parents, but like people that were the resemblance of my parents. And they are so mad. They're just screaming at me. They're like, do you even own this car? Do you even have a job? What's going on? And they just keep yelling at me, and I'm like, yeah, I have a job. I've paid taxes before. I'm an adult. And I realized, I was like, oh, I lost my boners for the first time. I'm a fucking adult man. Like, nothing has ever made. I can dance like nobody's watching. I know what the fuck is going on now. I'm an adult. They were so mad. I don't know. It's a sounds so weird now because it's like, oh, and then I texted my one friend, because this situation happened again later. I texted him, I was like, oh, what's wrong with my dick? And he's like, nothing's wrong with your dick, it's all in your head. And we never had an issue again, which is genius. But yeah, there's friend like that will really take care of you. I don't know, I'm getting to the point of my life where I'm getting older now. So I guess I probably wouldn't be the worst thing for me to have a baby. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like my biological cock is sticking. So, I'm gonna end on that. Biological cock is probably where we're gonna go. Yeah, thank you.
How did the second date go?
It was just, we're friends.
You know who hasn't betrayed us tonight? Pete in the booth. And also Dana behind the bar. We do this every month. Next month's theme is beginning. So if you want to tell a story, get at me. Thanks so much for coming out. Have a great night.